everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Good Bit Wrestling Podcast here on CM42 TV. It is a pleasure to welcome you all today to another episode, to our second official episode. It means a lot to me that you've joined us today, so thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. Always a pleasure to speak to you from my point of view, down my microphone into your ears. I don't know why I do this. Every single time I start a video, I find it really awkward, right? Let's just jump right into this. I find it really awkward starting videos, and you'd think after doing this for how many years I've been doing YouTube and stuff, 12 years, that I would be good at it. And I go through phases of, kind of being good at it and kind of knowing what to say and that sort of thing, but I always feel, it's not awkward, but I always feel like I don't know how to start a video depending on what mood I'm in. Do you know what I mean? If I start a video where I'm going to be all happy the whole time, I need to start the high energy, I need to start the high enthusiastic, because I'm going to be like that, most likely for the rest of the video. But sometimes I'm really tired, and obviously I'm not here to complain about I have to make videos and I'm really tired. But sometimes it comes off like that. Like I did that Toy Story 4 trailer number 2 official reaction video the other day. I did a reaction video to the Toy Story trailer, and like the trailer cheered me up and the trailer kind of got me more excited and stuff. But at the start of the video I'm like, okay, here we go for another video, and it's weird. And it depends on the time, it depends on the day of the week, it depends what mood I'm in, as I'm saying, and it's just like, you'd think by now I'd have a set structure. And I like the idea of having like a set thing that you say every single time. I think that's part of being a YouTuber and part of being a personality. But also it comes off as quite robotic sometimes, and I kind of like just being very enthusiastic and being very engaging and welcome you all to the show, and we can sit down and we can have a conversation together. Because although it's just me talking to the mic or talking to the camera or whatever, I do want it to be kind of like we're in this together. It's like High School Musical. We're all in this together. We're all talking about the same sort of things as each other. So here we are. This is, what day is it today? This is Monday, May 27th. And although to the casual viewer that might be just another day, might just be another Monday, might just be another 27th of May. However, from a wrestling fan's point of view, it's a very exciting time to be alive. It's a very exciting time to be a wrestling fan. A mere couple of days ago, we were living in a world where we were pre-AEW. Although the company existed, we still hadn't had a show yet before Double or Nothing. And now on Monday the 27th of May at exactly 12:54 in the PM, we are now post AEW, which is very exciting, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. AEW, All Elite Wrestling, is a thing now. It is now a thing. It's an official, it's now an official part of our lives. When I say our, I mean as in wrestling fans. It is now going to be something that we we go out of our way to watch, and we look to as an alternative, and we try and sort of gather all of our information from. It's a very exciting time, and it does remind, and we're hearing a lot of talk about it's going back to 20 years ago when, like the mid-90s or the late 90s, where wrestling was just the biggest thing in the world, and that's true. However, we're now in 2019, and we're coming to the point where it's not quite as big just yet, but if you know the kind of boom that's going on, and if you understand how special of a time this is, it's very exciting, because it is a boom coming up. It is a very exciting time because we're getting to that stage again. Where AEW, it's just another wrestling company at this minute. It's had one show, a really good one show. Let's just get this out the road. Double or Nothing was really good. It wasn't, the greatest wrestling show of all time, as I keep hearing, is one of the best wrestling pay-per-views ever. Probably not. It's a very, 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 very good first show. Very good in terms of introducing everybody to a lot of the characters and stuff. And this is, don't get me wrong, this is a very massive achievement. It's very good. But it was a wrestling fan show. It was fan service, and that was great. It's exactly what it needed to be, exactly what we wanted. But that real introduction is going to come when they start TV, right? That's kind of what's... If it's going to be TNT in America, which obviously I'm not American, but I understand that TNT is a very massive, very lucrative TV channel. That's the channel that WCW is on, which again, you get that comparison. And then I'm assuming it's going to be on ITV over here, which again is huge. The only way I can put this to people who don't know how big of a deal the ITV is, on free television, on like sort of cable, not even cable, what's the word? Is it domestic? Is that the right term? Like free TV, like TV that everybody has, even if you don't have like a TV license, or if you don't have Sky or Virgin or anything like that, if you just have a TV with channels like Freeview, right? You got your main 5 channels. You have BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, and Channel 5. So when WWE back in the late 90s was like the biggest thing in the world, and we were competing against WCW. WCW were on Bravo over here, which was quite far down the channel listing. It was maybe channel 16 or something. Bravo, which was fine channel, was good. It was good exposure. I think it was a free channel as well. Everybody had WCW, but WWE was on Channel 4, and that was a big deal. Like, Channel 4 is a massive channel, and it is the 4th channel that everybody has, especially those first 5. But ITV is Channel 3. Like, it's a channel better than WWE was back in the late 90s, at like the peak of WWE in like 1999 and 2000 and 2001, when the Royal Rumble was on Channel 4 for free. Now, AEW every single week is going to be on ITV. Now, of course, it could be ITV 2 or 3 or 4, kind of more hidden away, but it's still free TV. It's still ITV. It's still going to be in everybody's household, which WWE is not, and that's huge over here, you know? So that's an exciting thing. I don't know where I was going with that, but I was talking about the comparisons between nowadays and sort of the late 90s, 20 years ago and stuff, and that's very exciting because back then it was like, 14 million people a week were watching wrestling, all in all. Maybe even a little less than that, I guess. Maybe near 10 million, but still, I mean, Raw got, a 2.5 last week or something. AEW was expected to do 200,000 buys, I think, but again, I'm not very good with the numbers. But that's what I was going to say. Double or Nothing was a very wrestling fan-orientated show, so lots of wrestling fans watched it, and that's great because obviously that's who we're catering for. You know, we're trying to get the wrestling fans on board going forward. AEW are. And Double or Nothing, you know, we're promoting Jericho and Omega. It's a big match. The Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, big match. Cody and Dustin, big match. Jim Ross, big deal. John Moxley, big deal. Like, it's the cool thing right now, isn't it? Right? So all EW, All Elite Wrestling is like the cool thing. Just like NXT was the cool thing 2 years ago. Just like NXT UK was the cool thing earlier in the year. Just like ICW was the cool thing over here a couple of years ago. Just like SmackDown Live was the cool thing right after the brand split. Right now the cool thing is AEW, right? So that's very cool. And just like New Japan was the cool thing when Jericho went over there for the first Omega match. It's very like wrestling goes through phases, and notice how WWE is the constant, like it's always there. But now more than ever, WWE is just not getting the recognition that it once that it desires, that it once had. Obviously, the WWE goes through hits and misses. It goes through times where wrestling fans are like, right, I don't want to watch WWE anymore. I'm sick of watching Raw. I'm sick of watching Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns. I'm sick of the same matches. And that's fine. But now more than ever, it's like a legit, we want out of watching WWE. And I think that's wrong. Like, I think it shouldn't be like that. What people are saying, I wanted to be like the old days, where we had an alternative and we didn't need to watch WWE. That's not what the old days were about. In the old days, when I say old days, I mean 20 years ago. And of course, I wasn't around either. I was a wrestling fan in 2001, 2002. That's when I started, right? I'm talking about like 1998, 1999, right before I started watching, when I was very, very, very young. But this is what you just learn as a wrestling historian, like I am. You just learn over the years that back in the late 90s and the early 2000s and stuff, it wasn't, I'm watching WCW because I hate WWE, or I'm watching Raw because I hate Nitro. Everybody was watching everything, right? There might have been 1 or 2 weeks where you kind of missed something, but you caught up and you found out what happened. If there was 2 pay-per-views on, you know, 1 week after the other, maybe you choose SummerSlam over whatever the summer pay-per-view for WCW was. You kind of choose, right, okay, I'll go with SummerSlam because it's a bigger show. But you still found out what happened. You still ended up reading it in the magazines, and you still knew what was going on. You didn't completely switch off the other product. Do you know what I mean? And I love this. I'm not here to stick up for WWE. I'm just I'm speaking my mind in this episode. I love when people are like, oh, well, there you go. Double or Nothing was a great success, and AEW's a thing, and oh man, WWE are shaking in their boots. Vince won't be able to sleep at night. Holy God. That's not what's happening at all. Like, there's no chance that WWE are, quote, shaking in their boots. There's no need for WWE to be worried. What have WWE got to be worried about? That more people are going to watch AEW show instead of Raw? first of all, that might happen just because it's the hot thing, but they're not going to be on at the same time like Nitro was. They're not going to be on the same day like Nitro was. They're not going to steal the ratings that they would get anyway. You know, they're still going to get their average ratings. They're still going to get their bad ratings. They're still going to get good ratings some weeks. Because that's how it works. That's Raw. If Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming on an episode of Raw, and there's going to be a Universal Championship match, and there is a steel cage match advertised, right? There's 3 big reasons to tune in for Raw. There's a good chance that Raw will get a good rating. It'll get over 3 million viewers or whatever. And it's funny saying that 3 million viewers is a big rating when back in the days, we took it for granted back then because obviously when there was 7 million people watching Raw on a Monday, that was like average, you know what I mean? Now we're talking 3 million is a huge win. But just say, for example, 3 million is my chosen number here, my chosen example. Raw gets a 3.4 on this week, right? The very next week, none of that stuff that was advertised is going to happen. And we advertise Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus whoever, the B team or whatever. I don't know. Just Roman Reigns, come watch Raw for Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins to be together again. I'm just using that as an example because that's an average episode of Raw. It's not like we won those fans back and they're going to stick around forever. That's just the way television works. You know what I mean? Like, if you are watching a TV show, a talent show, X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, The Voice, anything like that, you know, you might watch it one week because you're having a night in your house, and, you know, you might watch it just because it's on. The next week, you might not watch it because you're not interested, you don't want to, people have plans. It's not the fact that WWE are being inconsistent in TV. That's just the way TV viewership works, right? And here's me, as if I know what I'm talking about. This is just what I assume and I gather in my head. This is my point of view. Chris's POV. So that whole thing where, say for example, AEW's weekly show gets 3 million viewers one week and Raw gets a 2.8. It might frustrate some people in that department in WWE, and Vince may go, that's a shame. But they're not shaking it in their boots. WWE couldn't be doing any better right now financially, right? But they're not worried about anything. I can understand where a talent point of view comes from, right? In terms of why WWE might be a bit worried about AEW. So there you go, there's the Young Bucks and Cody and Kenny, not so much Cody, but the Bucks and Kenny, right? So as far as I was, from my understanding, late last year, early this year, right before AEW was announced and was a thing, and it was the Bucks were the EVPs and Kenny was an EVP, like, it was my understanding that, you know, both companies and WWE and all that were, especially Kenny, I suppose, because the Bucks were in AEW from the start, but say it was Kenny, right? We use Omega as an example. AEW fighting for Kenny, WWE fighting for Kenny. Like, he's getting these offers thrown at him left, right, and centre. And ultimately, Omega chooses AEW. Now, that's the point of view where you need to think, right, so we're trying to get these people to come to our show so people will watch our show and make more money for our show, but they've chosen to go somewhere else where those people will watch somewhere else and those people will pay somewhere else. And I'm not saying WWE don't consider AEW to be competition. I think they do consider it competition because why wouldn't they? They consider everything to be television. The NBA playoffs are on right now and they're getting ridiculous numbers. I think I read it was like 13 million people or something watched that on Monday and 2 point whatever watch Raw. Like, that's competition, you know. WWE were trying to get a reason for people to watch Raw instead of the playoffs, you know. So anything in television is going to be competition. But and I guess the talent point of view thing, like Dean Ambrose leaves WWE, but I don't think that was like, I'm going to jump ship to AEW, but that was cool, man. Like, that was like back in the day where you didn't know who was going to show up, and it was almost like Ambrose jumped ship, although we knew he was leaving WWE and they made it very public, which I found really confusing. Like, I never understood why they did that, and it really, really took me off guard. I remember having conversations with my mates about it, like, there's no way Ambrose is leaving because they never announced this. I wasn't like, oh, they've got us, you know, like, it's definitely a work and like this story is going to be awful and stuff. I just was like, it's something weird when you log onto Twitter and you find the WWE is announcing someone's contract status when there's so much competition out there where people could go to New Japan or ROH or Impact or whoever, and now AEW. I find AEW hard to say. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but maybe it's my accent, but I'm like, AEW. So then the fact that Ambrose came out at the end of Double or Nothing, it was like, and I love the fact that came out the crowd, like, was it not like Scott Hall came out the crowd in Nitro, and like that was like the first big move, you know? I wonder if that was a reason. And I love the wee digs at WWE. I hope they don't do that too often. It's a very TNA thing to do, like all the wee digs to WWE. But it's fine to do it on the first couple of shows, I suppose. Like the throne being broken and the title looking fucking brilliant compared to the 24/7 title, and whatever, you know, the blood and all that stuff. Like, and even Ambrose showing up, you know. Brilliant. Like those wee bits are great, but I just hope it doesn't become a thing. Like, let's make fun of WWE at least once a show. So that's fine. And of course, WWE did the same thing. You know, Triple H mentioned it at the Hall of Fame, which again I thought was daft. And I love how people are thinking, oh, they're just doing that, like they're just giving them publicity. What are they doing that for? They're just doing it to show the world and to show the fans that we're listening. We know who they are. We're not completely deaf. People think Vince is so out of touch. I don't think so at all, man. I think he's stuck in a sort of old school mind frame where he thinks one thing will work when realistically, no, it won't. But that doesn't mean he doesn't know who AEW are and doesn't know who the Young Bucks are and doesn't know who Kenny Omega is and doesn't know how much of a big deal this all is, you know? So, there you go. We're in a world now where AEW is a thing and it's very exciting. Double or Nothing was a great show. It was really, really good. Cody and Dustin Rhodes was the match of the night. I've not said that until now, but I think when thinking at it now, it was the best match on the show, which was, no one predicted that. Like I said for ages, it's going to be the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, because I love the Lucha Brothers are great. I'm a big Impact fan, and Pentagon is like the top man on there. At least he was. And Phoenix is amazing as well, but Pentagon is a star. So I don't know if they're exclusive to AEW. I mean, I like the fact they're on Impact because it gives Impact even more, you know, legitimacy. But if they're on AEW full time and permanent and, you know, like staples of that company, great, because they're huge stars. Pentagon's a star. And Phoenix is really, really good too, but he's younger, isn't he? He's still got much to learn, you young pup. And I was saying for ages that the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers is going to be the match of the night. Like, that's going to be it. I know, you know, Jericho and Omega is going to be really good. If it's anything like the first one, it's going to be really good. But I'm telling you, man, this Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers match is going to steal the show. And then Dustin and Cody had that match, and it just shows you. But I mean, the three main events on that show, they were the three matches that were like, right, we're now a thing now. This is the alternative, and this is really, really good. The second half of the show definitely saved the show, because a lot of the stuff in the first half was just an indie show, you know. I don't have anything against that. I really enjoyed it, like the Chris Daniels stuff with SCU, and the women's three-way was really, really good, or four-way with Awesome Kong, that was really good, and the Best Friends match was good, and the six women's Japanese match was really good. But it's just like, you can see them on any show, but you can't find, you know, these matches like Dustin and Cody, the Bucks and the Luchas, and Jericho and Omega. Those are like the three special shows. And then they had the world title presentation with Hangman and Bret Hart, which was so good to see Bret, always a pleasure. And that MJF came out and cut an amazing promo. He's going to be a huge star. It's amazing how young he is. It's like, there's something about that. It just shows me being like wrestling fan for so long. It's like, you can see a really young guy with like a good look and who's pals with the boss. You go, I'm not going to like this guy. And then he cuts a great promo and you're like, oh, he's really good. But I'm sure he'll be a big star. But so it's going to be Hangman versus Jericho at the next show. Maybe not the next show, but for the world title, which is a huge match as well, you know. That's a great match. It's going to be really good. And I don't know who's going to be the first world champion. I think it's probably going to be Hangman. Probably Hangman going to be the first champion, especially with the whole Pac situation, which I guess I could go into, but we don't really know what happened, do we? Like, everybody just seems to claim to know what happened. No, we don't know what happened. It was a personal thing. It was a contract thing, I guess. Pac has his own beliefs about not wanting to lose because he's the Dragon Gate World Champion. He's on an undefeated streak. He doesn't want that to be diminished on the first show of a new company. But AEW are like, no, Hangman is our main man. He can't lose. We're not doing DQs and countouts, so the match is just not going to happen. So, and to be fair, it might have worked in the favour because the show seemed to run more smoothly and they had extra time, do you know what I mean? Like, All In was really rushed. Like, that main event at All In, when they had like 7 minutes to go and it was the Bucks and it was Kota Ibushi and Rey Mysterio. Like, this huge match, and it was like a 5-minute match because they ran out of time. But I think they went off the air with like 15 minutes to spare on this time, so it was much more free. But I was talking about Dustin and Cody. I've not seen a match like that in so long, and obviously because of the blood and stuff. But it's more than just the blood. It's more than just the false finishes and stuff. It's the story about the whole thing. That's the difference between these matches. Like, you got Dustin and Cody telling the story, and then you get the Bucks and the Luchas doing the high-flying tag team stuff, and then you get Jericho and Omega doing the main event style wrestling. And don't get me wrong, that was the main event, and that was the main event match. It was wrestled in a main event style, which was great. But the match of the night was Cody and Dustin, and it's just because of the brother aspect. There's parts in the match where sort of Cody is being like, I'm the younger brother, I'm more in my prime, you're kind of lost it sort of thing. Then you get the hope spots with Dustin, I've still got it, you can't get away from me yet, this is my swan song. Then the blood comes into play, it gets really violent, we get worried, the crowd shots of people genuinely worried for him. The blood loss was unbelievable, and people say, why has WWE stopped blood? There's why, because things like that can happen. It looked amazing, but it was also like violent and it was brutal. And that's what they need. They need things like that because it makes them totally different. Cody, that was the thing I was worried about. Cody was a mess, just off of like stale Dustin blood. I don't know. And then the end of the match happens. It's the right guy wins. The commentators sell it. There's a standing ovation numerous times in the match from the audience. They chant Dusty's name, which is really cool. And then the post thing happens where the two of them are just a mess. They're covered in blood. They're tired. They're heavy breathing. They're sweating. They're beat up. Cody does that emotion. Cody's great at crying on cue, and it's something I envy a lot as a performer myself. I find it really difficult to cry on cue, but Cody can do it. Like that promo he did for the Road to Double or Nothing was amazing. He just cried like, oh, he's trying to cry anyway. He's got like that sort of face he can make that looks like he's crying. But man, that ending where he was saying he needs a partner, he needs his older brother, that was emotional, man. That's how it's done. That's emotion, that's storytelling, that's realism in wrestling. It's needed and it's done. When it's done well, it's great. And Dustin was crying and he was still fucking bleeding everywhere. And they had that big hug and the place went mental. That's what wrestling's all about. When you start off with a story between the young guy and the sort of guy past his prime, but they're brothers from different mothers, with the same father who never grew up in the same house together, 16 years apart. Cody is in charge of this new company and he's giving his brother a break, but he's doing it because he wants to kill the generation that he's from because the new generation is so much better. It's such a story. It's so well written. And I'm so happy they did it because I love the thing that people are saying, this match should have been on WrestleMania. I argue that maybe it shouldn't have been on WrestleMania because if it was done on WrestleMania, it wouldn't have been this special. Like, it added more to the match that it wasn't on WrestleMania. And it's the match that should have happened years ago. And now we're here, it's happening, and the story is all still there. The people are all still with it. And it paid off big time. They had an amazing match. And then the whole stuff at the end of the story and stuff. So Dustin is teaming up with Cody against the Young Bucks at Fight for the Fallen in Daytona Beach, Florida. Well, no, it's in Jacksonville, but I believe it's in Daytona. I don't know the differences, but it's in Jacksonville. It's called Fight for the Fallen. I believe it's a charity event. It's on July 13th, which is going to be very good. I don't know if that's like, because there's also one that's lined up now on Wikipedia called Fighter Fest. I don't know if that's the next pay-per-view or if that's just like a special sort of event, like a streaming event or something. Because there's matches announced, but I don't know if it's a pay-per-view, but I hope it is. But Cody did say they're not going to do monthly pay-per-views, but I think they probably will until the TV show starts because it's a lot of money in America. It's only $14.99 here, thank God, but it's like $50 in America. And people are going off the nut because it's $50, but that's just how pay-per-view works, isn't it? Like if you're buying a pay-per-view, it's $50. Just like over here, if you're buying a pay-per-view, it's $14.99, which is great. But it was also, I thought it was really fun buying the pay-per-view. Like, it's so old school to us now because it was 5 years since the WWE Network's been up. Like, we don't buy pay-per-views anymore, do you know what I mean? We stream them on the network. We get the network up and stream it when it starts, but buying the pay-per-view was so old school. It's cool. Where else do we want to go from here then? So Jericho and Omega, really, really good. Jericho won, which I didn't know who was going to win. I assumed Omega was going to win because he's like untouchable. But he then had the one-winged angel. That's going to be like the big move, hopefully, because they've built that move up and it's like no one kicks out. And Jericho debuted his new move, the Judas Effect, which looked really good. I don't know how it's going to look when you're wrestling against someone who's less experienced than Omega and is less good than Omega. But Jericho wins clean in the ring, which I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be some sort of low blow into a roll up or something, but no. Judas Effect 1, 2, 3. Jericho versus Hangman soon, and Jericho gets on the mic, and then John Moxley comes out. Dean Ambrose, as I mentioned, place goes nuts. So good to see him. Obviously, I was thinking, is he going to just take a break from wrestling? Because he obviously seems very bummed out. But no, he obviously just wanted out of WWE and he wanted out of that style. You can't blame him sometimes. Because although I was kind of sticking up for WWE earlier on, the show has gone ridiculously stale now. But again, it's phases. It's definite phases. WWE picks up all the time. It also dips a lot. But I was just laughing because you got this great show with Omega and Jericho and Dustin and Cody and the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, and then like the next pay-per-view for WWE is the Saudi Arabia one with Randy Orton versus Triple H, Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, and Goldberg versus The Undertaker. Like, just such a difference, man. And it's funny as well, when I was watching some of the Double or Nothing stuff the day after, I was watching some of the interviews and stuff that Inside the Ropes did online, and Chris Van Vliet did online to the people who I love watching interviews from. I think they're really good. And then I looked on, it was like a top 25 greatest NXT takeover moments. And I'm a huge NXT fan, obviously, so I was watching that top 25 moments thing. And although the production of Double or Nothing was great, and although the way it looked was really, really professional and looked really high standard, it's just not WWE production levels yet, is it? It's just not. The way it's shot and the way it's lit, it's just not the same. And obviously, that's good. It shouldn't be the same. But, I'm so used to WWE being the best, and it's like you watch and you go, it's so much better. But I don't know, obviously when we go for it, it's the first show. AEW's first show. They did a great job. The stage looked amazing. The ring looked great. The place looked great. I would have showed more of the audience because it looked actually smaller than it was. The place was huge and it actually looked smaller than it actually was. But overall, I mean, what a show. What a great way to introduce yourself to the wrestling world. And AEW is a thing now. It's like very, very exciting. I'm looking forward to going forward and seeing like what's coming next and what the pay-per-views are going to look like in the future. And I can't wait for this TV show, like live, 2 hours every single week, like it was before. And I'll watch both, of course I will, because I'm a wrestling fan, and every wrestling fan will watch both. But also the thing I think we will struggle is things like Impact and NXT UK and maybe even NXT and 205 Live. Like, these things will be put on the back burner when AEW comes out, because, it'll be like the second thing we need to watch. We need to watch Raw, then we need to watch AEW, and then we need to watch SmackDown, and then we need to watch the pay-per-view. Like, sometimes that's too much wrestling, Sometimes too much is too much. Little is more is a good way to look at it. But obviously there's not going to be little of it, there's not going to be less of it, there's going to be loads of wrestling coming soon. But it's just very exciting, man. The fact you can watch Raw one week, enjoy it, and then the next night, you tune into AEW and see wrestling at a whole other level. You see it totally different. And you'll have your favourites, and you'll have, I don't know. It'll be very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens and going forward and stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of just rambling now and filling some time. But this was, I just wanted to kind of get some things off my chest. I have no notes here for these Good Bit Wrestling podcasts. I'm just going to turn on the mic and talk and see what comes out. Just shoot from the hip, brother. I'm going to shoot about the wrestling business. So yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, everybody, if you listened. Hopefully you enjoyed this particular video /podcast /audio, and hopefully you enjoyed Double or Nothing. I certainly did. It was great. So happy for them, and it's very, very promising going forward, isn't it? Wrestling's in a very, very good place, healthier than it's almost ever been, and we go forward. We move on. We go again next time. And I hope you can join us next time here on the Good Bit Wrestling Podcast and on CM42 TV for other video needs. Until next time, folks, thank you very much for watching. My name is Chris Moffat. You can check out the movie portion of the Good Bit on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere, and also here on CM42 TV for the Good Bit Podcasts. And join in next time here on the Good Bit Wrestling Podcast for some more random wrestling thoughts here on CM42 TV.